I was in pain the entire race, and I was just beating myself up because I should have, under normal circumstances, I would get away a little bit easier, a bit more comfortable. I mean, to win under those circumstances was quite a lot for me. And yeah, then that obviously triggered a little bit of extra pain.
I worked a job as a sparky for like 11 years here, but I raced just pretty much domestically for the whole time, and got into some like stage racing, so like multi-day, and then like marathon mountain bike racing, which is like over 4 to 5 hours. And then I guess in the last like 4 or 5 years, gravel bikes and gravel racing, gravel riding has like come along. I was really well poised to jump in and kind of be decent right away at the sport, given my skill set from mountain biking and like endurance and tactics and whatnot from road cycling over the years.
I mean, you come home from the Olympics and the first thing people want to ask you is, did you get a medal? And I mean, my performance at the Olympics last year was my best performance at the Olympics that I've done, and it was 13th. And then you come back and you face the media, and then you feel like a complete failure for finishing 13th. Or in Rio, I had a back injury and I got a result. I finished, but I was 1 lap down. And, you know, it's like, it's almost humiliating. And it's like, why should I feel humiliated for going to the Olympics?
So I had always enjoyed that, and now, fortunately, you can look like this. This is Unbound last...
it's not really selling mountain bike in this podcast so far, but I'm sure it's fun.
This is not mountain biking. This is gravel. Mountain biking's fun.
Welcome to the flats. Some champions in the building tonight. Welcome Bec and Trekky. Thank you for joining us in the flats. How's it all going?
Yeah, it's good. It's a pleasure to be on the flats or in the flats.
In the flats, thank you. Yeah. You probably hadn't heard of it before, but we've been following what you've both been doing lately, and it's been epic. So thank you so much for popping in and having a chat. And great to learn a bit more about you guys. And we are very lucky this week to be sponsored this episode by Tune Bikeworks. So thank you to Tune for jumping on board. Local down the road, just moved the shop, so go check it out if you need any bike stuff. And yeah, it's basically what popped up in my feed was your impressive effort a few weeks ago, or a few months ago now probably, and that moment where you finished the race and those photos, Bec. How has it been since that injury? You've been, probably why we can catch you here on the podcast in Canberra is you've been in Canberra recovering over the last few months.
Yeah, for sure. We are just past 5 weeks actually. So
5 weeks.
It's not that long ago, and I think time flies for everyone else when you have an injury, but less so for you.
Yeah, it felt like months for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually gone reasonably quickly, day to day, probably slowly, but on the whole quite quickly. But yeah, I'm happy to be, I mean, I'm not 100% recovered yet, but I'm back out riding my bike outside, and that's a pretty big step.
Awesome, yeah, it's great to see, and we'll get into that more. And Trekky, you've just been back from California, a few races over there. How's it been back in Canberra?
Yeah, it's good. I was just thinking, I was actually on the literal salt flats last week.
Right.
So I've been to the flats.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. We can keep it rolling here.
Out in Utah. But my season started last weekend in California. It's I was there for 5 weeks. To start the year off, and I kind of come back and forward, so it's nice to come back, but it's also cooling off here and warming up there, so that's always a challenge.
Yeah, a bit jealous over there at the moment.
And it only gets better there and worse here. So as we go on, but no, I mean I love it here. This is where I do my best training, my best work is done in Canberra. So it has been done for a long time. So it's nice to be here. It's my most familiar sort of ground to prepare for the competitions elsewhere.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about Canberra both. Like, I guess how you guys got to riding together. Did you come up together here in Canberra?
Yeah, I mean, I actually grew up on the South Coast, and then we had competitions like at a club level in Canberra, and we would travel back and forward. And then after school and whatnot, it was a natural. A lot of people from the coast, they either stay there and do nothing, or move to Canberra or Wollongong and do something. So, yeah, I've been here since I was 18. And yeah, Bec was also doing the same races, and yeah, we've kind of trained together and sort of hung out ever since. Still, yeah, to this day, training on the Canberra roads all the time. My scene and my sport discipline is a bit different, so I spend a lot longer out on the roads generally. But we've done some epics, and yeah, I'm out in the hills of Canberra every day pretty much, and yeah, I feel so at home out there.
And you, Bec, how is it? First for people, what is it about Canberra that makes it such a good bike producer of bike and cyclists? Like, what is it about Canberra? It seems to be always from here.
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky. I mean, I am born in Canberra, grew up in Canberra, so it's I have more reasons than just the bike to stay here, and not a lot of reasons to leave outside of racing. But I think we're just really lucky, to have a city that has everything and it's super accessible and easy living, and then it doesn't matter which way you go, 15, 20 minutes you're out of town, not a car to be seen, whether you go north, south, out west. And now, like with gravel bikes, there's so much more to explore. I mean, we've been doing it on mountain bikes since well before gravel bikes were a thing. But yeah, I mean, just the variety of riding, and then obviously like the formal trails for mountain bike they're everywhere here. And Canberra was really in the beginning of these like purpose-built trails. From when I was 10 years old, there was already like a massive club, and it was the biggest club in Australia. And it's only grown. So I think that and the road riding, we're just really lucky. And I think the culture around cycling here is quite good, and there's a lot of bunch rides. I don't go on them because they're really early, but they're there. And, I think those groups keep each other motivated, especially through winter.
And it's very much a family thing for you. Your whole family are cyclists, right?
Half of my family are cyclists. So I have 3 siblings, and my brother, he rides, and my sister and my younger brother don't, and they're often people don't realise we're a family of 4 kids and not 2. But yeah, my dad and my brother, I ride with them all the time, and I've been riding with them since I was a kid. Before my first race or participation was at 10 years old, but we were riding bikes all together, all 4 of us kids, from the beginning. And my younger brother and my mum were always involved in the club and volunteering. So yeah, I mean, it's been part of my family for my life, more or less.
And another reason to keep you here in Canberra, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I did want to take you back to that race recently where you had the injury. For those that don't know, what happened and what were you going through in that race?
So the race was the national champs 5 weeks ago, so the mountain bike national champs. I've never lost this race, so there's a lot that goes on behind as far as preparing and the expectation to win, externally, internally.
Yeah, so that's 12 times for this race. You've never lost
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've been racing since the junior categories, so won everything from under 15s, 19s, under 23s, through into elite. And yeah, I mean, last year I ruptured 3 ligaments in my ankle a couple of days before the national champs, and then I was still able to defend the title. And then I came back this year, everything was going super smoothly. And I made it to the start line in one piece. And yeah, I mean, the weather conditions were absolutely horrendous, some of the worst that I've raced in. And they altered the course. So it was a really short course, and I think we did 12 laps or something of like a 1 or 2 kilometre circuit, which is, yeah, pretty unheard of. And I hadn't actually seen this section of the course, and on the first lap I had the tiniest little crash. I just washed out in the front wheel. And fractured my shoulder and my thumb, which obviously I was in a lot of pain at the time, but I didn't know or give time to consider that there was something serious happening here. So I pushed on in some pretty tough conditions and excruciating pain, and came down to win in a sprint finish.
Insane. And that sprint finish, which we're probably coming up to see soon, was where I saw that photo. It was, what was his name? To give the credit, I'll pull it up.
Matt Rosu.
Yeah, Matt Rosu.
Yep.
Yeah. What was it like seeing that photo and the footage that came from that? That finish, which we'll probably see soon. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, that was the ouchie moment.
Yeah, it seemed like you kind of realised then.
I mean,
when the arm went up,
I was in pain the entire race, and I was just beating myself up because I should have, under normal circumstances, I would get away a little bit easier, a bit more comfortable. And yeah, I mean, the picture just shows, I think, and even the way, I mean, can remember in my career 2 or 3 times where I've fallen off my bike in just absolute exhaustion like that before. And I mean, I was even beating myself up after the race, like, why'd you carry on? But you can see by the videos and the pain and the photos, I was just in so much pain. And I think the little arm up at the finish was pure natural reaction of, like, I mean, to win under those circumstances was quite a lot for me. And yeah, then that obviously triggered a little bit of extra pain. And yeah.
And do you think you mentioned the consecutive wins of this particular race was in your mind? Is that what got you through it in a way? And yeah, was that what got you through it?
I think, I mean, earlier in my career, I really put a lot of pressure on winning the national champs, and I think as I've gotten older and I guess more comfortable in my place where I am, I have actually taken a little bit of pressure off the expectation of winning. I think if I win or if I don't win, I'm more comfortable with who I am, and I don't think, I mean, I'm so well known around the world as the girl in the Aussie jersey, but without it, I'm still me, and I think I've become more okay with that. I think just the reason I was able to continue was because I could. Like, I wasn't so weak that I was falling off my bike. My legs were still working. I was using my right hand to change my lockout on the left-hand side of my handlebar, which was like not good. But honestly, the reason I was still lapping was just because it was possible. And that's more or less all there is to it.
And then that meant that you then were missing out on the World Championships. Is that right? And did that sink in at that moment too?
At the time, I mean, I didn't give myself enough allowance for it to be something serious. So I drove home with my dad that night to Canberra from Mount Buller, which is like 7 hours or something. My shoulder hurt, my thumb hurt, and I was straight to the doctor on Monday morning, and I'd planned to go that Thursday, so 3-4 days later, to New Zealand for the Oceania Champs, and then the following weekend was the opening 2 rounds of the World Cup. The doctor was like, I was more concerned about my thumb than my shoulder, and then he's, moving me around, and he was really worried about the shoulder. It was by that afternoon I realised that I wasn't going to New Zealand, and then, you just start to get more information with tests and results, and it was out of my hands. It was a pretty big hit to not be able to go to those first 2 races.
And then how's the recovery been? You've been in the garage on the bike, trainer, and battling through, and it's as if you haven't stopped really. How has the recovery been?
Yeah, it's actually true that I didn't stop. I had 3 days off, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then by Thursday I was on the trainer. Just like the first time was 30 minutes just to see how it goes, and then I was like, hey, I can do this. And then I think I had 3 days just like cruising on the trainer, and then by Monday it was like, okay, let's get to work. And in that 21 days I had 1 day off on the trainer, which is less days off than I normally have when I'm training, but they were shorter days. And my recovery, I really took the time. I was really patient and just committed to getting to 3.5 weeks before I even considered to go outside. I wanted to make a full recovery before going outside and risking any further injuries, because the next World Cup's in late May. So I have time, and there was just no benefit to like rushing. And now I'm still, I'm almost able to sleep on my right side on the shoulder, and, I've got most of my movement back. It's not all pain-free. But it's not bad. Progress is still like, every few days I'm still improving, and I think that's quite rewarding in itself. And so to get through this patch has been quite challenging, but it's also, I'm happy to be almost out the other side now.
Happy to be back out on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Trekky, I don't know if you can top that story, but I'm sure you've got some grueling stories on the bike. I know you mentioned those longer rides. You're doing some of these 200-mile races. I think you've won the longest race in the Southern Hemisphere. How different is it doing and preparing for those sort of races? And is that something you've always been doing, or is that a more newer sort of style of riding you've been working on?
Yeah, it's something that's. I used sort of did what Bec does, the like Olympic cross country racing. When I was a junior and into like my early years, and I tried to emulate some of the success that she was having, but I just wasn't good enough, internationally at least. And I worked a job as a sparky for like 11 years here, but I raced just pretty much domestically for the whole time. And got into some like stage racing, so like multi-day, and then like marathon mountain bike racing, which is like over 4 to 5 hours. And then I guess in the last like 4 or 5 years, gravel bikes and gravel racing, gravel riding has like come along. And for better for worse, it's like a boost to the industry. Kind of means everyone has to buy this new bike, but it's a platform now that stands on its own 2 feet, and I was really well poised to jump in and kind of be decent right away at the sport, given my skill set from mountain biking and like endurance and tactics and whatnot from road cycling over the years. And I'd done longer races like the Melbourne to Warrnambool on the road. many times and kind of enjoyed those longer days and the more epic kind of training and preparation that you have to complete to be able to do well. So I had always enjoyed that, and now fortunately you can look like this. This is Unbound last.
It's not really selling mountain bike in this podcast so far, but I'm sure it's fun.
This is not mountain biking. This is gravel. Mountain biking's fun.
So interestingly, this is my first tilt at Unbound, which is a 200-mile race in Kansas, in the US, and it's the biggest gravel race in the world. And yeah, I actually had a back injury, but it can be epic conditions in it. And in 11 miles into the race, we got this mud section, and my bike failed, and I only had the 11 cogs, so I was stuck in my biggest gear for the next 100 kilometers. And it like fully destroyed my back, and I didn't continue. But this is the kind of thing that I enjoy doing now and do professionally, which is really cool. And I do really enjoy the preparation for it as much as the racing. I think, I get to go out on the roads here for 30 or 40 hours a week, which is not everyone's cup of tea, but I really like it, and I really like the being able to put that work in and see the results. So yeah, it's a newer discipline, I would say, in my career and a lot of the guys and girls, but there's a lot of athletes that are really well poised to be good gravel riders, just from, and they come from different sides, either the road sort of world tour side, or they come from mountain biking. And I think soon we'll see riders that just start in their youth and are gravel riders right away. So yeah, it's a newer sport, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and it looks like absolutely killing it too. Like, what do you think it was that it suited you more to than perhaps the cross country stuff?
I think,
or would you say it did at all?
Oh, I did for sure. Yeah, there was no way I was making a career out of racing in the World Cups on the cross country. But I mean, I put a lot of things in place by having success and working hard here domestically, just in the racing that I was able to be good at. So that I guess when this came along, it was a matter of taking a leap, and I was, like I say, I was well poised I had some good sponsorship and partners that were willing to support me to go full time, and it was just it suited me a lot more, that slow burn. The race takes a long time to develop fatigue, and for me, I enjoy kind of being combative late in the race, and after everyone's kind of fatigued a bit, I think it suits me a little more, and I'm able to I don't fatigue as much as others sometimes, and that's kind of my trump card. But I do prefer it, and looking at the World Cup now, the cross country World Cup, it's becoming increasingly technical and challenging, and I'm getting a little older, so maybe I don't want to throw myself down these rocky chutes on a small bike with no protection. So yeah, it's suited me just fine.
Yeah, awesome. And how do you do that then, Bec? You're still out there. I think when you cross the finish line, the announcer said something like 27 titles or something that you've done nationally, 4 Olympics. How are you still going out there around?
Well, first I think Trekky's selling himself a bit short here, or talking it down a bit and talking the World Cup up. I mean, they're just different sports at this point. Obviously he was super talented in cross country and then got a bit of a life, and then I think the gravel scene blew up at the perfect time for him, and he was able to put everything in place to do it and to make it happen. And I think it's what he's done in that way is not something small, and you can see that's why he's more or less the only Aussie pro doing gravel. I think to privateer it and pull all of it together, and just go all in one season, and then to pull it off and then be able to meet the right people and put himself in the right place to be sustainably full-time now, I think is enormous. And I think a lot of people maybe don't realize that. And he's like, for sure, I think cross country is the pinnacle of mountain biking, but gravel is doing its thing. And I think he also is a bit cheeky and like, you know, pushing the pressure or the high standard over to our side. But I see how Trekky trains and how I train, and we both are just giving it all every day, and just different talents at different things, and we have both found the same sport that we both love so much to work in different ways. But as far as me throwing he is right that the World Cup has gotten a little bit extreme in the last few years. And me at 33 racing now, Sammy Maxwell from New Zealand, she won the first World Cup. She's 10 years younger than me. Puck, who's the world champ, is also there or thereabouts, 23, 24. I don't know exactly. I should. She's a good friend of mine. But yeah, I mean, it's a sport that I've had to adapt with. In the beginning, we were racing on 26. My first World Cup was on a 26-inch hardtail, no dropper post, 80 mil fork, 2.0 tires, you know, and now
It's a gravel bike.
It's a gravel bike with flat handlebars. And now we race on what I would call a trail bike, but they're cross-country bikes or down-country bikes or whatever you want to call them. But now, you know, I've just graduated to 120 mil fork. And yeah, I mean, we care so much about the performance of the bike that we're not weight weenies anymore, because what we have to go off is hard and you need your bike to work. And for me, I think I used to be one of the best at descending, no matter who I was lining up against, because it was natural and tricky. And now it's gone to more jumps and more, I think, like high risk sections. And I think as I get older, the consequences are becoming more challenging on me. And yeah, it's not easy to grow with the sport in terms of the technical ability. I wish I had all this experience I had now for 5-10 years ago. But yeah, I mean, it's growing, and you either have to keep up or go home. So that's where I'm at, I guess, trying to keep up.
Excellent. Just getting some shots here. And yeah, it's often thrown around when your name's mentioned as the most dominant bike rider in any discipline. How have you maintained that level in Australia for this long?
That is a good question. I think,
and some of those are like, it's just 12 years running kind of thing. Like no one's held on to titles that in any sport.
Yeah, I mean, it's I was doing some reflection in my downtime, and I realised in the time that I've been racing World Cups until this year, I had only missed 4 since 2010, I think. So seems like I'm a real participator. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think obviously I've just got some level of perseverance and consistency. And yeah, I mean, I always grew up thinking I wasn't really that cut out. I wasn't that consistent. I wasn't that good with my training. And now I'm starting to realize I'm pretty diligent. And I am quite committed. And obviously I really love this sport and what I do. And I have that motivation to, you know, obviously on the whole, the balance of my life and my opportunities, I think, really keep me going. And it's something that I'm really enjoying doing. And I guess I went from always trying to progress, next step, get a team, better support, better results, improve. And now, you know, obviously a couple of years ago, I really reached the peak of the sport. And now I'm still fighting and trying to improve to get back there. But at the same time, I'm really trying to enjoy that I'm racing with the best in the world and I'm racing full time. I'm a professional, and I think that I'm like in a good place where I can really enjoy that. But yeah, I mean, with hindsight, it's pretty cool to like look back and see how long I've been doing it. But it's not something that, I don't know. It's just, you just keep doing it because you like it. And yeah, I mean, the fact that no one else has challenged me really for these national titles consistently over the years really highlights a bigger problem in the sport, and the development and the support behind and the investment. And I think, you know, I've done it more or less independently and with my own support networks over my career, which is why I'm here and a lot of them aren't.
Interesting, yeah.
So I think that I'm standalone like that really probably more suggests a real big problem than something I'm necessarily doing amazingly.
Yeah, right. And is that sort of like at the AIS level, or like where
There is no AIS level.
there is no AIS level?
No.
So there's no support like other Olympians for mountain biking?
No, mountain bikes are not a very well supported sport at all. Over the years, I've been lucky to have some support come and go. But even when I was world number one, I was not considered the highest level of support. So I think, yeah, there's a really big problem, and there's no pathway for young mountain bike athletes. And yeah, I wouldn't know where to start, and I wouldn't want to take up 4 hours of time talking about it. But yeah, I think the pathway doesn't exist, and it's something that I'm quite passionate about. So yeah, I would talk to you about it for 4 hours if you asked me to.
It's interesting. And is it kind of like a not a cultural thing, but it seems like in Europe and in the US, even with the gravel stuff, like it's on network television. It's broadcast. It's everywhere, and we just don't seem to have that cut through here. Maybe in Australia.
I think mountain bike's very accessible to watch. Until the last couple of years, it was free to air on Red Bull TV. Now it's hosted by the Discovery Channel. The problem is we don't win medals at the Olympics, and that's why we don't have funding. But when you have 1-2 professionals racing, it's very hard to develop Olympic medal-worthy athletes.
Yeah.
So it's like what comes first. But I think until we win medals, there's not going to be any support. But like where was Paris Olympics? We didn't even have a male spot. I was the only Australian there for mountain bike.
Wow.
Whereas there's so much funding and thought and effort behind track and road that their programs are in place to develop these medal-winning athletes. Whereas mountain bike, it's like you don't win medals, so you're kind of on the side, and then here comes Olympics. We'll give you throw you a little support that way.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, how are we gonna? We also have in track. They have so many events to have the opportunity to win a medal. In mountain bike, we have one each. And in 90 minutes, and in a sport like mountain bike, so much can go wrong. So even the best, like Tom Pidcock won the Olympics, but with a flat tire. I had a flat tire and I went from top 10 to 13th. And so it's like we have to take care of our equipment, and it's not just the performance of the athlete, it's the external things that can go wrong. And so to gamble on getting a medal is just like so far-fetched that it's a much safer bet to bet on the road or the track.
But it makes it far more interesting to watch.
I mean, that's why we love it, right?
Yeah. It's just like, it's just crazy. And I remember Caroline Buchanan had the similar thing. Like even the top, she was slated to win. In these sports, anything can happen, and it can all crash down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Trekky, how have you found going into the circuit in the US with the gravel scene? Like you said, it's starting out new, but how is it with the broadcasting and the fans and getting into a growing sport?
Yeah, it's Look, it's been an experience, and so to give the background, it's a Lifetime Grand Prix is the series. It's Lifetime is a big firm of health clubs and health insurance and also events, and they bought up a bunch of the biggest sort of off-road events in the US some years ago, and then fortunately they started this series, and they invited athletes to apply from all over the world, and then selected. It's gone from like 35 to now there's 22 male and 22 female this year. So it's sort of like it's in its fourth year, and it's kind of evolved as it's gone on. So I applied the first year, but I wasn't really in a place to go, and also didn't get selected. So, but the following year I had just like kind of quit my job, and I was training full time for the National Road Championships. And I applied with the intent of being selected, and I had good, decent palmares, and I was, like I say, well poised to go and partake. They want people who can essentially help grow the fandom of cycling in the US and internationally. And I got selected that second year, and I went there, with some support from like Giant here in Australia, Giant Bikes, and I had some staff and whatnot to help at the races, but I was still financially, it was a stretch. When you're living in the US and traveling back and forward, it's expensive, and the dollar obviously doesn't, Aussie dollars doesn't go very far in the US. And when you're getting sort of paid in Australian dollars and spending American dollars, it's difficult. So my plan was to go there and be good enough that I could go again for several years after that. So I went, and I had early the first race. I think I was 7th or 8th, which is good. And then it sort of went on, and I had a bit of a slump in the middle of the year. Some of the races are really high altitude, which is something that, Australians, it's a struggle to. I mean, especially myself, I've only ever really done some small races, small time at altitude like that. And I really struggled in the middle of the year, and it was touch and go whether I was going to turn it around. And at that point, it was probably in the middle of the first year I did in 2023. I was probably set to come home and not return, just given that I hadn't had that success that I sort of planned on. And without, there it's very results based. Like you can have, if you have good results, you can sort of find a good contract here and there, and it really pays off. And I turned it around in the middle of the year, and really got going towards the end of that season. And I was like second in the final race of the year, and off the back of that, signed a couple of contracts that would mean I'd be able to do it the following year, comfortably or more comfortably, and had an even better year. So the first year I finished 7th, and last year I finished 4th in the standings. So I'm kind of progressing and getting more and more results, and now I have a really good support network there, and I have a good contract for the next couple of years, and it's kind of that part of it, that part of my life, I would say, has kind of gone to plan, and which is nice. I mean, like I set out to be there for several years, and I'm going to do that. So it's a sweet scene. It's a really good community there. Like I say, the support's great. We have a collective team with Giant, so there's athletes with some different sort of additional partners, but our main kind of team is Giant Bikes and Live on the ladies' side. But it's a really good scene, and we have great really good friends with our staff, and it's nice because it's a long way from home, and you need that support as well at the races. It's getting more and more professional, and like races like Unbound, it's the aid stations or the two pit stops you have are so crucial in the race, and you need to have the help. So it's a crazy scene, and they're doing a great job. There's a guy, Kimo Seymour, who's the director of events at Lifetime. He's it's his brainchild, the Lifetime Grand Prix, and I've met with him several times, and I've told him that without his series, I wouldn't have a career riding my bike. So yeah, he's aware of that, and it's really cool. And yeah, I can't be, this brand gets a lot of flack for things they do wrong and things they don't do, but I'm always willing to remind them of what they are doing right, and how fortunate I am to be part of it. And like I say, I wouldn't have a career without the Lifetime Grand Prix, and they're doing great things for our sport, and I'm trying to do my best and represent the brands that are supporting me well, and represent Australia and Canberra.
Absolutely. And the electricians as well.
I'm done with them now. No, I'm still qualified, actually.
So you've given up the electrician stuff?
Yeah.
For the time being.
Look, I worked really hard for a long time. Well, relatively to the old boys, probably it's not that long, but it felt like a long time, and I think I did the hard yards and kind of got a little bit set up. But I grew to hate it, if I'm honest. And I hated being inside roofs and under floors and working late, and it took a lot of my time. I ran a small business with a friend and obviously business partner for many years, and small business, it can make or break, and yes, essentially it broke me, and I had enough, and didn't want to do it anymore. And I made a kind of pretty big leap, and went all in with my cycling, which is something I've done for a very long time, since I was 10 years old. And part of me was like, I owe it to myself to really have a full tilt, and I owe it to the sport. I feel like I always had done it on the side, like a side gig, and but there was something inside me that wanted I wanted to be professional, I guess, and and as a professional, you can give it your all, right? You can give it all your attention, and you can do things professionally, and you can do things properly, and it's not just on the side and sort of in the balance. So I guess I was sick of having it in the balance, and I wanted to bring it into the front, and that came with some sacrifice and some challenges, many challenges. It still does. But no, I think the lifestyle can be really good. And while I'm here at home in Canberra, I've got a almost 5-year-old daughter, and it's really sweet to be able to, drop her off at school and go training, and then go and pick her up from school, and not have to do book work or, be working late and things like this. I mean, some of the long rides, I guess you could say I'm working late, but it's a sweet gig.
You're your own boss on the road.
Yeah, that's right. But I really do treat it like a job, and some days I do clock on for a 9 or 10 hour training ride, and that's what it is. It's going to work. Fortunately, I get to do it in a beautiful place and on beautiful roads, and I do really enjoy it. So,
and just get out when the Canberra winter hits, I guess.
I do have to dip back in occasionally in the winter now. I mean, I did so many years of, like I say, alongside work, I was training in the Canberra winter before work and after work, and it was just putrid. I had to ride last week when I was in Utah, and still getting some really cold mornings there, and I had to take the flight back here, so I went early, and I had some really bad flashbacks to Canberra winters with my hands going numb. I mean, I love cycling, but I fucking hate it when it's cold. I despise the sport, and it's rough at those minus 3 or 4 or 5 degrees. It's not something that I enjoy. Actually, I got some heated gloves, which are absolute game changer.
I bet in the Canberra weather. I also wanted to ask you. We talked about the Olympics a bit there briefly, Bec, and while it is a challenge getting there, there's still no doubt you did do 4 Olympics in a row. How do you look at that achievement and representing the country and consistently again, it's another thread like being up in that top 20, top 10 sort of zone.
Yeah. It's probably something I brush and even maybe don't like. I don't love talking about the Olympics.
Really? Because of the results?
It's a mix. I think there's so much to it, and there's a lot of negative culture around the Olympics. I mean, I've got an Olympic ring tattoo that I'm currently getting removed.
Interesting.
which is straight. I mean, another story. But I mean, you come home from the Olympics and the first thing people want to ask you is, did you get a medal?
Mm.
And I mean, my performance at the Olympics last year was my best performance at the Olympics that I've done. And it was 13th. It's not my world's best performance, but it's the one that everybody asks about, right?
Mm.
And, you know, I went to my first Olympics at 20 years old, and for me, just the selection was the most amazing thing to do.
Yeah.
And all the work and all the hustle and against the odds that I had to get through just to get that first selection was, I think, it's still possibly one of for me, my most proud things I did, given all that I had to go through to get there. And yeah, for me, it was an absolute honour to represent Australia in London. But then 2016 and then Tokyo with all that mess around COVID and it became, you know, I'm the Australian that should go, and it's just expected that you go there. And I mean, I can tell you for Paris, people barely even told you, hey, congrats for your selection. You're just expected to be there, and no one gives it a second thought. And then you come back and you face the media, and then you feel like a complete failure for finishing 13th. Or in Rio, I had a back injury and I got a result. I finished, but I was one lap down. And, you know, it's like, it's almost humiliating. And it's like, why should I feel humiliated for going to the Olympics? But so for me, I really struggle with that culture around Olympics. And Paris being my fourth time, I was less excited about all those little things. Like in London and Rio, I was in the Olympic Village, and that was really amazing. Tokyo, I was in a hotel with 4 other people and an empty hotel, and there was absolutely no Olympic vibe whatsoever, and it wasn't really a pleasant experience. And then Paris came around and we stayed in a hotel just with cycling, and I was quite happy to be out of the Olympic Village. Obviously there's a lot of things that happen with illness and mixing athletes, and, you know, I was really lucky to bring my staff that were already in my team that I race with week to week at the World Cups. So I was supported really well and in a familiar environment, which is the best way to get a good result. But then there's also that culture about, oh, you know, like, don't change anything. And it's like, well, you still need to like really embrace that feeling of being at the Olympics. So it's just it's the most unpredictable race. And every time like someone unexpected lands on the podium, and, you know, in the history of the sport, it's always, you know, generally the bronze medal goes to, you're like, whoa, where did that come from? And, you know, I think it's a cool race because everybody goes there believing they can win. But at the same time, it's not realistic. Like, I mean, it's
why it's a series, right? The World Cup, like it's a sport that's meant to be over multiple races.
Yeah, I mean, the World Cup, you win a World Cup round, or you win the overall or place or whatever. But Olympics is this one race that comes around every 4 years, and it comes with so much expectation and so much pressure. And I mean, I've always like avoided it, but then around Tokyo, I think I was just like, oh no, it's just another race. I didn't even like plan a real peak for it, which is also a mistake because it's a race that comes around every 4 years. And just completely did not pull it off at all. So I think it's like, it's a really cool thing to do, but it's really hard to get it right. And yeah, I think it's a strange one.
Did you ask? Have you spoken to other nations about this, or is this kind of a unique Australian thing of this like gold or nothing mentality? Because it's often around the Olympics in the news that this pressure is on Olympians, and it is just gold or nothing. We don't care about it. It's not even broadcast on our networks. Like, have you spoken to other nations and competitors about how they feel, or is it universal, do you think?
I think Australia has a particularly strong culture of it, given that we're so good at events like swimming and track cycling, whereas like, for Switzerland, they're not good at swimming. They're not good at those mainstream sports. And so like they're good at mountain biking, and wow, like
they get behind it.
And I think, it's particularly challenging for us. Like, I'm there with cycling who's got so much. You cannot imagine the support behind the track cycling team. And then you're expected to deliver the same thing. And you're part of the cycling team, and it's like, so it's like we're not even entering on the same playing field. And then I think it's strongly an Aussie culture thing, but I mean for sure in other countries like Great Britain and Germany and like the US for sure, they have that same culture. That's it's pretty hard to face the media, especially you've finished your race and like you fall straight into it and you have to justify your performance. And but that's also the harsh reality of the really top end of sport. You do have to answer to your performances.
Yeah, well, it's just researching for this that it doesn't even cross my mind that the results weren't there in your point of view. Like, it's just like insane to be there for 4 consecutive ones and be in that top 10, top 20 area. So yeah, I think it's amazing. And
it's nice of you to say, because one of the first questions people ask me when I arrive in Paris is, are you going for a 5th Olympics? And you're like, whoa, hang on. I'm here, like, just arrived, trying to enjoy the one I'm here at. I'm trying to focus on doing what's in front of me. And I mean, it's never enough. You've achieved 4 Olympics. When are you going to the 5th? Are you going to a 5th? I'm 33. I don't know. I was 32 at the time. But, it's like it's never enough. And I think that's the culture of the Olympics. It's never enough.
And it's also that people aren't willing to dive into the story deep. They're just getting the surface level. Are you a winner? Are you not?
Yeah. Exactly.
But I've found talking to people here, we had a boxer who had her first Olympics, and she was slated to be, a contender, and fell out first round.
Oh, failure.
And yeah, exactly. But if you don't speak to the people in these interviews for an hour, you don't hear that there's so much more behind that. And she was stoked. She represented Australia for the first time, and she'll be back. So
yeah, she should be.
Yeah, it'll be an awesome start to the story. It's still not over. So I hope you do go for your 5th, but no pressure. I did want to ask one more thing. We're getting close to our time, but I want to ask about Lenny and going on the road.
Oh, yeah.
Is this the first dog to tour on the World Cup series?
I mean, he did two full seasons. So he won't be coming back this year. Bit of change in everything, really. But yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon for athletes based in Europe to bring their dogs to a race with their family or whatever. But yeah, Lenny really did spend the last 2 seasons traveling to the World Cups with me. Every race in Europe, he was there, and for me, it was incredible. I've really had some big struggles over the last couple of years, and Lenny is just my rock, and he has literally been through everything by my side that I've had to go through, and it's only Lenny and me who knows everything that's happened. And yeah, I mean, he's just there he is. I was very lucky to have that support around me where I was able to take Lenny, and I'm no longer in that position. But But yeah, I mean, such special memories, and the company that he gives me in those. There's a lot of downtime when you're overseas on a different time zone and everybody's asleep and you're alone, especially when you're struggling. So yeah, I mean, I'm just so lucky, and I will always treasure that time I spent in Europe with Lenny.
And did it affect the performances, do you think?
I think in some ways it was more challenging, bringing a dog to a bike race where it's not always easy, and Lenny is a bit of a snob. He whines in apartments, but he's happy to stay in the car for hours and hours. So he's a really, really good traveller, and if he wasn't, it would be impossible. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it was a compromise for me to get Lenny to the races or bringing him on my backpack or whatever it was. But I think for the support that it gave to me, I think it is more than worth it. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting this year. There's going to be a bit of downtime and a bit of lonely time.
Yeah, the mascot will be watching, I'm sure, on the streaming.
We'll be FaceTiming or whatever you call it.
Yeah. But guys, thank you so much for popping in. It's been awesome to chat, and we'll be following your journey. What I guess, Trekky, for you first, what's next? What can we expect, and what's the plan?
Yeah, I'm home for like 3.5 weeks. We've actually got gravel national champs on Saturday in Adelaide, and then 2 weeks later I go to Tassie for a UCI gravel race, and then I'm back for my big goal of the year, which is Unbound, in Kansas, at the very end of May.
So that was the 200 one that you didn't
200
finish.
mile, yeah. So
yeah.
I finished it last year in 15th, but I had I had 3 or 4 flat tires, and I had a day.
Yeah.
So
nail that one this year.
Yeah, no nails.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's my biggest goal of the year, and I've put a lot in place already, and the final touches are to be done. But yeah, we're back over there, and that's the big one.
Awesome. Well, all the best over there. And how about you, Bec? What's the next stage of the recovery and getting back to racing?
Well, I am joining Trekky this weekend in Adelaide for the Gravel Nationals.
Oh, awesome.
It's early, but I'm just up for giving it a go. I will be doing my best to be safe. And then, from next week I'm going to try and transition back onto the mountain bike, and the 25th-ish of May is the first World Cup, and I'm planning to be back. So this season is just the World Cup Series and World Champs, and I really am just, I think, going to try and obviously put the injury behind me. I think it's once the recovery is made, it should be a thing of the past. I'm really just focused on, I really, really want to just find myself again and feel like a racer and feel fast and be racing. And I want to, obviously try to pull that all together in a World Cup. I don't know which one yet. But yeah, I mean, I'll just work hard all year until I find my best. That's my goal. I've got
slowing down.
10 races to do it or something, maybe 9 left. There's still a huge amount of opportunity and the whole season ahead of me.
So is that the first gravel race you've done?
Yes.
Yeah.
I took my gravel bike for its first ride today. Gravel is obviously not my thing, and it's 100k and it's flat, and Trekky's reminding me how poor or not challenging the course is. And obviously me, I like climbing, so it's going to be an interesting race for me also. But I mean, I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, and a race to experience and just feel like racing again. So I'm looking forward to that.
Amazing. Well, all the best, both of you. Thanks again for popping in, and thanks everyone watching at home, and thanks to Tune Bikeworks as well for supporting the show. But yeah, all the best in the next races, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us at the flats.
No problem. Welcome anytime. Cheers.